Fa la 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 la. It's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you go over the top rope and you bang your head on the ring apron. Why do you do that? That's when you feel like a big dope. They're the worst bumps you should be taking. Oh, it's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Two more. Sometimes you reach out for the hot tag and you go ahead and make your own comeback. Knock it off. That's when you should quit wrestling and you're better off rolling in thumbtacks. AEW, the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. One more. Sometimes you're distracting the referee and the babyface has your wrestler pinned. Then you get punched to the ring apron and you realize all the trouble you're in when it's the hardest part of the ring. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. Now double claps. Here we go, Bob Squad. It's the last hardest part of the ring before Christmas. And that means absolutely nothing. Okay. Here we go. Let's do it. It's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da. Whoa. Yay, I gotta go to the bathroom. Hang on. What is it? What is it, Bob Squad, that suddenly when my body hears Monday Night Raw, they just go, oh, toilet. That's how appropriate. We are talking about the Hulu edition. The Hulu edition, the December 20th, 2001 WWE Monday Night Raw with not limited enough commercial interruption. The highway behind me is flying. They are footloose and fancy free. There are motorcycles. There are two-wheeled motorbikes just going to and fro, and they're having a good time. Oh my goodness. Let's just get right into the show. Before I forget anymore, before my mind blocks out any more of this show, how do we open with it? How do we open the second to last Monday Night Raw 2021? Hulk Hogan slams Andre the Giant, you were correct. And then we open with Bobby Lashley and MVP doing some talking. And then Big E comes out to do talking. And Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens come out for more talking. So this episode, much like last week's episode, is also about Bobby Lashley, which is fine. For the 2 weeks or 3 weeks before that were about Seth Rollins, and the 2 or 3 weeks before that were about Kevin Owens' line. So none of this has been about Big E. This might be a record. Big E might be a record for the most background WWE champion that I can remember since Punk won it for that couple of weeks in 2008. I can't think of anyone else who had it less than a background. People will bring up Miz with the versus Cena with the Rock in the back, and that yeah, but at least Miz was still in the main event of Mania, and he won it with fanfare, or with noise and everything else. Yeah, Big E is that's a record. That is this is oof, it's rough. You can't say Diesel. People always point to Diesel and poke fun at Diesel's 95 run. No, the focus was on him. They just didn't like the run, but no, the focus was on Diesel. I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head, so I'm going to go with Big E. Except Kofi might be a close second, but no, Kofi had feuds and he was in them and winning them and etc. He was wrestling Orton a lot. Okay, let's move on. So what happened? So everyone's talking, and there's going to be a... what was the resolution? I don't remember what was resolved in this particular segment. They took a break, and then they resolved the segment that just happened. Oh, there was some kind of beatdown. Oh, yes, okay. Excuse me. I remember now. For some reason, Bobby Lashley decided to tell his own manager, who has a cane, to fight Big E, while he being Bobby, stands at ringside near the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, and let his manager wrestle the muscular champion. Alright? So that's thing number one, doesn't make any goddamn sense. And then Orton and Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins come out and jump Bobby Lashley. Which, okay, Bobby Lashley's a threat. This match is coming up. They want to injure him, help their own chances. Fine. Why are they teaming together? Not sure. Big E walks away from his chance to beat up this manager with a cane who's been causing him trouble and who cost him the match last week. The guy who's the catalyst for this whole situation that Big E does not want to be in. Instead of beating that guy up, he goes outside to fight Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. So he wants to stop these two guys from beating up Lashley, who he hates, and Lashley, who he has not established as a good guy yet. That didn't make any sense. Then we went to break. That made sense because you got to have commercials, you got to pay bills. So the break made sense. I'm with you on the break. Could all use a big break. We come back and we're backstage. I think it was Owens and Rollins and Sonya and Pierce, and Sonya and Pierce decided to make a tag match. Of course, Owens and Rollins, if they're going to be such good buddies, they are going to wrestle in a tag team match in a main event. Never before done on Raw. A tag team made of two guys who don't like each other. Hey, everyone hates each other on this program. We didn't even get to the women yet. So Big E and Bobby Lashley are going to team up to wrestle Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, trying to subconsciously plant these babyface seeds in us for Lashley, just as we did in this segment. So that's what we're trying to do here. Vince likes Lashley. It is obvious. It is very obvious. I think I like Lashley too. I don't think the week before was I love the way Lashley wrestles in the last year or so, but I don't think putting him in 3 matches on any show is ever a good idea. His style doesn't work that way, but whatever. Let me recap Austin Theory's shenanigans from last week with selfies or something, and Vince McMahon had a pencil, and then Austin Theory talks to an Irish guy, and then he wrestles a different Irish guy, Finn Balor, and they have a very good match. Everything was great. Back and forth. Well, back and forth doesn't necessarily make a good match. That's kind of a misnomer, but whatever. It was still a very good match. And then the finish happened where Austin went. He had things okay, but he wanted to take a selfie of himself pinning Finn Balor, which was stupid, and he gets rolled up, and he doesn't get pinned, but he throws his phone aside, and eventually, shortly after Finn Balor hits his finishing maneuver, big stomp from the top rope. 1, 2, 3. And Austin Theory has lost because in the middle of his combat with an experienced former champion and everything else, he decides to take a selfie. So don't take any of this seriously. Piss all over all of it. Okay? That's what that finish said. It's a shame. Finish ruined a match. Good match. Finish ruined it. The Miz is backstage talking to Omos, who is tall, and Omos and AJ Styles is there, and I guess they're having a backstage segment. They're having a backstage segment to talk about an upcoming segment where they talk to each other. Not talk to each other now, or don't have the backstage segment. You're talking about the talking you're about to do. And the 3 guys involved in the talking are the same 3 guys who will be involved in the next segment of talking. Just want to make that clear. 3 guys are talking about the talking the 3 of them are about to do. But they haven't done the talking yet. They could talk right now, but they won't. Miz TV happens, same old Miz crap. Same intro, this. So AJ Styles and Miz jaw back and forth, and AJ makes a few comments about how Miz's wife Maurice is mad at Miz for last week's putting endangerment of his wife and mother of his 2 children. And then finally they go back and forth, and it's clear that Omos can't talk. Because every time he's about to talk, he gets interrupted, or he takes way too long to talk. So he's interrupted by Miz, he's interrupted by AJ, then they're interrupted by the Mysterio's music, and the Mysterio family wrestles AJ and Omos, and Omos never tags in because he can't wrestle either, but yet the guy who can't talk or wrestle, we are going to do everything we can with this guy. He is tall. And AJ goes back and forth with Ray and Dominic, and they pin AJ in a roll-up of some kind. AJ's arguing with Omos. Omos won't tag. He looks the other way. He won't tag him. He won't tag AJ, and AJ gets rolled up. And after the match, AJ gets very upset with Omos, and Omos beats him up and leaves. And he says something in a mic like, and then next time you'll see me, it'll be in a match versus me. Oh, but thanks. Well, no, we deducted that from the first part of the sentence, but I'm glad he clarified. And he drooled all over the place. He can't yell one thing. He's done nothing. He hasn't talked. He hasn't wrestled. He hasn't moved. He did one press slam, and he can't talk without saliva flying out of his mouth. It was gross. There's a pandemic everywhere. So let's just back up. AJ Styles, who is the heel, makes the point that, hey man, you made a mistake getting counted out the week before. You're not talking, you're not communicating, and you're not helping me, and I gotta wrestle these two guys by myself. And Omos, who's supposed to be, I guess now, a babyface, is lazy, won't talk, and bullies the guy after making him wrestle the entire match. That's the babyface. No. This is why we don't cheer anyone or boo anyone. We don't get it. Why am I supposed to feel love for Omos? Because you say so? Fuck you. That a little harsh, Bob? No, it's not. I'm not watching this. Randy Orton wrestles Chad Gable. I didn't write down a finish. I guess Orton pinned him. Let's go with that. Orton beats him with an RKO out of nowhere. That's almost definitely what happened. So I noticed on Orton's entrance, this has been building up in the last couple of years more and more. These weird CGI symbols and animals and things. Like there's giant CGI vipers that look like they might be a hologram in the arena, but they're not. So only the audience at home sees them. They haven't had wrestlers play to them yet. I think it started, well, it didn't start with this, but it was noticeable when Matt Riddle and when the birds fly out of his ass, as they've said on other better podcasts. He does the split over the rope, he jumps in and birds fly out, but it looks like birds are flying out of his ass, which is hilarious. So Randy Orton has big viper things. Roman is just a giant, scary Roman looking thing of himself, and a lot of them have these big CGI gimmicks coming at you on the screen. And the wrestlers haven't specifically played to the CGI gimmick that the live audience can't see yet, but they're going to. That's going to happen. Remember, we got Braun Strowman under a train noise, and that wasn't too long ago. It wasn't too long after that they fired him, but still. Okay. What was my point? Oh yeah, they're going to play those soon. So anyway, Orton beats Gable, and I guess Otis was there. I didn't see Riddle. Did he have the night off? Did he have the week off? What the hell happened to Riddle? Did anything interesting happen after that match? I guess not. I didn't write it down. Doesn't mean. Oh. You know what happens. Oh, MVP and Bobby Lashley are backstage, and MVP is kind of like testing the waters to see if Bobby's upset with him. And Bobby says he needs to hydrate and tells MVP to get him some water. And MVP does get him the water. And I hope Bobby Lashley was properly hydrated. Finn Balor is talking to another Irish guy. So the two Irish guys are having an Irish conversation. And Austin Theory attacks Finn Balor. So again, 50-50 booking, not even week to week, minute to minute. 2 or 3 segments, whatever it is later. It's like, okay, well, fuck Finn and his win. Fuck Finn's win. Because Austin Theory jumps him backstage and runs him into the big road case things, whatever the hell those things are. And then Edge enters the ring, but now, we're doing this again. That's right, in the last couple of weeks we do the thing where somebody enters and then we do something else. So they did that when Chad Gable entered. They went to Bobby Lashley wanting water. And Edge enters, so we have to cut to this segment. Oh my god. Vince McMahon and Austin Theory are backstage, and of course Vince McMahon is not happy that Austin Theory lost. Oh, there was a thing somewhere in the middle of all these backstage segments where Austin Theory almost knocked on Mr. McMahon's door, but then he didn't. That happened at some point. So now we're back with Theory and Vince, and it's just Vince talking. And here's the thing, no one can understand what Vince is saying. He's mumbling, You can't make it out, and Austin's role is to say nothing and nod. So no one actually understands what message is being communicated, if any, in these segments. So Vince says, beat the chocolate pudding out of the guy, which I guess is like a beat the shit out of the guy, because Vince likes poop and shit and butt things, everything with butt. And all bathroom humor, urine, he likes all that. That's what he thinks is funny. And then he says something, and this is the line. He says he likes firing people, especially firing them at the holidays. It gives him a warm feeling in his stomach. He loves firing people. And he blows pencil shavings, or eraser shavings at Austin Theory for some reason. And then he says something about a rematch for Finn next week, so I'm assuming Theory wins the rematch. So you can tell me, like, oh, Finn wrestles on TV every week, what's the problem? Yeah, none of it's about him. It's like Big E being the champion. On paper only. It's the Austin Theory, Vince McMahon story. Finn Balor is just a good wrestler they need. He's being the good hand here. 100%. So Vince McMahon decided, because I don't believe someone wrote that for him. I refuse to believe that anyone employed there wrote that line consciously and decided to hand that to Vince McMahon and face the consequences and run the gamble of being fired on the spot for writing that line. I think it's a fairly safe assumption Vince McMahon wrote that line. Give me a fucking break. Who would come up with that and hand it to him and run and on the off chance he would think that's amusing? On the off chance that's the specific frequency of crazy that he is on that day. Like, no, it's, you know, because I have to assume, we would hear stories about this from Attitude Era and other places as well, because Vince was in all these segments now. Not too many people are going to be telling Vince McMahon, hey, let's do one more for safety kind of thing, where you're really just trying to get him to do a better take. No one's going to be doing that. They'll do it until Vince McMahon says we're done, and he probably says it's done on the first take or second, maybe if something really goes wrong or whatever the fuck. So anyway, Vince McMahon gloated about firing people. Do I need to give a speech? No, I don't. Wow, it's just sad. Makes the rematch, and then we go back to Edge is still in the ring. Remember Edge? How long has he been in the ring? Waiting. He talks to Maurice, and Maurice did a great job here. I really enjoyed this. She's a real person. She's a mom. She's this. She was in danger, and she loves her husband, but she's mad at him. Who's going to take care of the kid? Like, why would you? If something happens to me, no one's there to take care of the kids. Yada yada. And Edge did a great job selling this with his face too. You really felt that Edge was feeling it until out of nowhere, Edge calls her a phony, and he looked like the dick until he ended up being right, and Miz jumps him from behind. But Edge just said, Miz is going to jump me from behind, isn't he? They play the Miz music, Edge looks at the ramp, and gets jumped from behind. So every babyface is a moron. Edge is an even bigger moron because he figured out the ruse and still somehow didn't look the right way. Everyone's stupid. And if you don't believe me that every babyface on this show is a stupid human, Liv Morgan hasn't shown up yet, but we're going to get there. Oh my god, how long is this going on? Rhea Ripley gets her win back from Zelina. Good, right? No, it was not good. It could have been good. Yeah, she beat Zelina. Jesus Christ, sorry. Rhea beat Zelina in 3 minutes, right? No, bad, because it was a 50-50 3 minutes. Hell, it looked like Zelina got even more. It was 60-40. Rhea should have just hit a couple of big moves on Zelina and bulldozed through her in 2 or 3 minutes to get Rhea's, not just the win back, the steam back. I didn't think it was good. And again, I like Zelina. And I think I liked what she did, or what someone had her do, I don't know, whatever. Instead of just doing the silly, phony British accent, how she breaks out of it and yells at them in Spanish for like a second and then forgets, oh shit, I'm supposed to be. So they're not pretending she really has a British accent, or that she talks this way magically because she won the crown. The heel is showing your ass, as they used to say. I don't want to use that term now, when especially when it's like hot ladies and it sounds totally different. But yeah, like embarrassing yourself, which is better than just I have a British accent. I can't do it, but No, she's saying she doesn't. She's letting us know. She's telling us it's bullshit, but she's letting us see through the armor and get mad about it. So I think that was better than. I don't think she needs any of it at all because, again, Vince, other countries have queens. They're not all British because that's the one you've heard of. But I don't know, it's a step in the right direction. Who cares? Zelina Law. But yeah, it should not have been 50-50. If we're going to get Rhea's steam back and reestablish Rhea as an ass kicker, and they made a point to tell us Carmella and Nikki ASH were not at ringside, and when there's no distractions, when there's no shenanigans, Rhea is undeniable. Terrific. Did I skip over Bianca and Doudrop? How did I do that? Yes, no? I think I did. We'll get there. There was a blonde lady talking to Big E and Bobby Lashley, and they promised they'll get along. Okay. You know, let me go backwards. Somewhere in the middle of this, there was Doudrop versus Bianca Belair, and maybe they didn't even show it on Hulu. They must have. Did I just watch a clip on YouTube? I don't know. I have no idea if Doudrop and Bianca Belair made Hulu. It should have. It might have, and I might have forgotten to write it down. If you missed this, Bianca Belair hoisted up Doudrop for her finish, and the people went nuts over an impressive, real physical feat. Especially when Bianca carried her from the corner to the middle of the ring and landed her safely, landed her flat, and hit the 1-2-3. And people went nuts for Bianca and could take her seriously again. I don't know or remember. I don't even know if I've seen that. I don't know if I've seen the match. That's how forgettable the show is. And it was yesterday that I watched it. But way better job of doing that for reestablishing Bianca than reestablishing Rhea Ripley. Because Bianca just hoisted Doudrop and gave her that move, and Rhea had a short but a 50-50 match with Zelina Vega. Well, again, I'm sorry. I'm a fan of Zelina. Rhea's 2 feet taller than her. It's kind of silly looking when they face up. Yeah, so that's worth mentioning because that was definitely the highlight of the night. And again, I'm not sure. I'm only 50-50 sure it was on Hulu. I just forgot to write it down. Okay, so Liv Morgan. We got to get to this. In the main event, there's not too much to say, but we'll talk about this. Liv Morgan does a segment. She talks like Mandy Rose now. She's extra robotic. And Liv is in a promo. She's dressed like a Thundercat. Great. And before she can yell at the little Thunder Twins to behave, she shows footage of Liv Morgan shows footage of herself trying to attack Becky at Becky's husband's wrestling school in Iowa. Oh my God, the logic holes in this. First of all, Liv Morgan flew herself to Iowa, so the rib is on her already. Then they show they happen to have cameras there. Multi-cameras happen to be running in this wrestling school, right? And they have who's supposed to be Becky Lynch, a redheaded lady, wrestling a guy, and she's in a headlock or something. And then they just show Liv Morgan standing in the ring with a kendo stick, looking angry, for an absurd amount of time. A cinematic absurd amount of time. Like she's just standing there. There's a new camera shot. It's really up. The camera's up close. It's not security cam footage or anything like that, which would make some kind of sense. And then the 12 guys who are around the ring, cheering on Becky to headlock a guy or something, do nothing. They have an intruder who they know should not be in the ring, should not be in the building, which is run by their trainer. I've been in wrestling schools before. If there's someone who's not welcome in that building, they don't stay in that building for very much longer. As a matter of fact, it's made very clear that they don't get in, and it's not going to last long. It's extremely territorial. What is it like today in 2021 in Iowa? I don't fucking know, but I just don't believe that right away as a wrestling school student. That's someone who isn't welcome there. Just like the place would have stopped, and she would have been seen. And not that many wrestlers. The notion that all wrestlers who aren't in the ring right now are paying strict attention to what's going on is also hilarious. But anyway, so Becky Lynch, I don't remember, she's in the Liv Morgan, I don't remember if she hit the girl with the cane or not, but the other redheaded girl, the dummy, the decoy, Liv Morgan beats her up for a little bit and then realizes it's a totally different redheaded person. And still the 12 guys around the ring do nothing at an intruder who ran into your wrestling training ring and attacked someone, whether it's the trainer's wife, the owner's wife, because Becky, to my knowledge, does not run this school. But whatever. Maybe she does has her own side deal with some of them. I don't care. So then Becky Lynch attacks Liv Morgan. It was Becky Lynch set this up on the off chance that Liv Morgan might fly to Iowa, which is insane. And Liv Morgan does fly to Iowa, which is even more insane. And then Becky jumps Liv, but then Liv fights back and throws Becky out of the ring or something like that. And the 12 guys cannot hold Liv Morgan, who's 110 pounds, back from Becky Lynch, who's like 115 pounds. None of these 12 giant men can do this. Grown, muscular men can do this. They're all freaked out. They won't get involved at all. They just stand around yelling, looking like complete idiots. So Liv's an idiot for flying to Iowa, attacking the wrong person. Becky's an idiot for seeing this attack coming, kind of like Edge did earlier, seeing this attack coming but falling for the same trick anyway, or getting the end result anyway despite knowing the trick is coming. Everyone is stupid. It's the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Every character is a moron. Nobody, and the other guys are morons because their jaws are hanging open, and none of them can get between these two women. I'm sorry to be sexist, but there's 12 of you dudes. You can't hold back Liv Morgan. You can't even stand in the way. I'm not saying they have to grab her and throw her out of the place if they don't want to manhandle the woman. That makes perfect sense. But I've been a bouncer before. Stand in the way. Be in the way. That's all you got to do. You don't got to put your hands on anybody. In that situation, when two women are pissed off at each other. Usually when it's two guys are pissed off at each other, all you got to do is be in the way, and it's almost always enough. Because the sheer numbers of you deters everybody from a lot of their shitty behavior. For most of their shitty behavior, the sheer number of bodies in the way, they just say, well, even the shittiest of shitty will very often go, there's too many bodies, I better get the hell out of here. Nope, everyone's an idiot. Speaking of, and then they take this promo back to the ring, I forgot. And Liv Morgan talks more like a robot and says something about Becky's, quote, hot husband, end quote. So Liv Morgan is supposed to be getting under Beth's skin by saying that Seth Rollins is hot. Where did that come into play? And then Becky Lynch says the stupidest thing Becky Lynch has ever said. Becky became a moron this week. She says, I'm leaving, I'm not going to fight Liv Morgan, I have a private jet to catch. Becky, no you don't. Private jets wait for you. And also, this segment, on this show, we've admitted that you and Seth Rollins are married. And we've scheduled a main event for right after this, which he is in. Therefore, you would almost definitely be traveling together, and the private jet would not be leaving during the main event anyway because your husband who's coming with you is in the ring. Everyone is stupid. Why are you so stupid? Be less stupid. We have a tag team match. Lashley accidentally spears Big E, and then he spears Kevin Owens successfully, and then he pins Kevin Owens in like 3 minutes. There's a big beat down. The two heels beat up the baby faces. Big E does nothing in the match. I don't even know if he tagged in. If he did, it must have been early on, tagged out. It was the Bobby Lashley versus the two heels story. Big E was there just to lay around and I guess be the champion. Not only do I think Big E does not walk out of this pay-per-view on New Year's Day with the championship, I think this is one of the rare times in a fatal four-way, in one of these multi-man matches, 4 3-way, whatever it is, I bet you he gets pinned too. I bet you he gets pinned as well. And he should be, really, because if you're not going to have him in a title picture, Don't give him an excuse for a rematch. Beat him. Beat him, but be done with it. You don't want him there. He doesn't look like he wants to be there. That's the chicken and the egg, really. I mean, that situation is always just going to get worse. So, I love Big E. Beat him. Pin him at the pay-per-view. It's over. It's been over because you didn't want to start with him. So if you don't want to commit, I don't know. You wanted to have better ratings for football that one time. So I don't know. Okay. Highlight of the show is Bianca Belair hitting that finish on Doudrop. The low light of the show is everything else. That was the hardest part of the ring. We have one more go-home show next Monday, I guess, before the pay-per-view on that Saturday. If they were trying, I'd say Big E has to beat the fuck out of everyone and stand tall, and he has to look not just strong but smart. But they're not going to do that. It's going to be the Lashley Seth Rollins story. So I don't know. Or maybe because Big E's almost definitely losing this thing, or at least I think he is. Maybe to make it obvious, they do the go-home thing where whoever's going to lose is really dominant on the go-home show. That's a possibility, too. So, I'd look out for that. I would just look out for this show altogether. I would look out for it on your TV guide and then avoid it. Alright. I have to go. I'm on my lunch break. I gotta go. Thank you for listening to the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da.